What if the real reason a queen was locked away for 46 years? Was it madness, but love? History calls her Juana the Mad, a hysterical woman, an unstable queen, a ruler who lost her mind. But what if that story was carefully crafted? What if the woman they called insane was simply inconvenient? What if her real story is far more tragic and far more human than history wants us to believe? This is the story of Juana I of Castile, and it's a story that will make you question everything you thought you knew about powerful women in history. Juana was born into incredible power. Her parents were the legendary Isabella of Castile and Ferdinand of Aragon, the monarchs who united Spain and changed the course of European history forever. From a young age, Juana was groomed for leadership. She was highly educated, politically trained, and fluent in multiple languages. Nobody described her as unstable when she was young. In fact, she was known for her sharp intelligence and a remarkably strong will. She was a princess not just of royal blood, but of royal caliber. But her life changed forever at the age of 16. She was sent away to marry Philip of Castile, also known as Philip the Handsome. He was charming, ambitious, and by all accounts, incredibly good-looking. For a young princess in a foreign court, he was a dream come true, and Juana fell in love with him, completely and utterly. This wasn't a political alliance for her. It wasn't a strategic move. She loved him deeply, openly, and passionately. But Philip did not return that devotion. He was unfaithful, repeatedly, publicly. He took mistress season, flaunted his affairs, humiliating Juana in front of the entire court. And when Juana reacted, when she cried, when she confronted him, when she refused to accept this disrespect, quietly the court began to whisper. But listen to what they whispered. They didn't call Philip cruel for his infidelity. They didn't call him disloyal for betraying his wife. No, they called Juana jealous, emotional, unbalanced. Her passionate love and her righteous anger were reframed as instability. Her refusal to be a silent, suffering wife was seen as a sign that something was wrong with her. Then, in 1506, tragedy struck. Philip, the love of her life, died suddenly. Juana was only 26 years old, and her grief was overwhelming. It was a raw, all-consuming sorrow. The historical accounts say she refused to leave his coffin. She traveled across Castile with his body for months, unwilling to bury him far from her. Some stories claim she would open the coffin just to look at his face one last time. Others say she guarded it obsessively, jealously. These are the actions that cemented her nickname, Juana the Mad. But pause for a moment. Think about it. If you lost the person you loved most in the world, at just 26 years old, would your grief look calm? Would it look dignified and royal? Or would it look desperate, chaotic, and maybe even a little mad to outsiders? Grief is not a rational process, and Juana's was no exception. Her powerful father, Ferdinand, saw an opportunity in her sorrow. He saw her vulnerability not as a reason to comfort his daughter, but as a political opening. If Juana was declared mentally unstable, he could step in and rule his region. If she was officially mad, she could be removed from power entirely. Her grief became his political weapon. The whispers that had started during her marriage now became an official diagnosis. Juana was declared insane. In 1509, she was taken to the royal convent of Santa Clara, a fortress palace in Tordesillas. The heavy doors closed behind her and they stayed closed for the next 46 years. 46 years of isolation. 46 years of watching the seasons change from behind cold stone walls. 46 years as a prisoner in her own kingdom. She was still, technically, the queen. Her name remained on official documents. But she had no freedom, no authority, and no voice. She was a queen in name only, a ghost haunting the halls of her own palace. Her own son, Charles, would grow up to become Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, one of the most powerful rulers in European history. Empires expanded under his command. Armies marched in his name. The world was shaped by his decisions. Yet his mother, the rightful Queen of Castile, remained imprisoned, a forgotten footnote in her own son's glorious story. He continued his grandfather's policy, keeping her locked away to secure his own claim to the throne. Visitors who were granted rare access to Juana described her as pale, withdrawn, and sometimes completely silent. But can you imagine anything else? Imagine being locked away for nearly half a century. Imagine losing your husband, your crown, your children, and your freedom, all based on a narrative you had no power to fight. Was Juana unstable when they first locked her away? Or did 46 years of profound isolation, grief, and betrayal break a woman who was once known for her strength and intelligence? It's a classic chicken and egg question, but in this case, the stakes were a woman's entire life and legacy. When Juana finally died in 1555, she had never been officially removed from the throne. She was Queen of Castile until her very final breath, a ruler who reigned only on paper, whose crown was a crown of thorns. History kept her nickname, Juana the Mad. It's a simple, catchy, and cruel label that has defined her for centuries. But perhaps her madness was simply the label that powerful men needed to control a grieving, passionate woman. Perhaps her greatest crime wasn't insanity, but loving too deeply in a world that feared emotional women with political power. So now I want to ask you, what do you believe? Do you believe Juana was truly insane? Or was she a victim of a ruthless political game, where her love and grief were twisted and used against her? Was her madness a convenient lie to sideline a queen who was simply too much for the men around her to handle? If this story changed how you see history, like this video so more people can discover the queens that history tried to silence. Share it with someone who loves these powerful and tragic royal stories. And subscribe to our channel, where we continue to uncover the truth about the women the world misunderstood. Because sometimes, the most dangerous thing a queen can be is human.